So today we are going to be hitting this competition wall behind me. It's 40 degrees, it's steep. I'm not the best at steep climbing, I struggle with core tension. So I figured it would be a really fun session to pick just a couple of boulders and really go in depth from a kind of like intermediate perspective. So I am by no means a climbing coach, but I'm really going to try and approach this session with an analytical mind and really think about what I am doing and how best to climb overhang. So now that I've done a pretty comprehensive warm-up on the comp wall, I'm definitely feeling warm. I'm going to pick out something that I think is achievable, but also is going to be hard, like right at the top end of my limit, with me still being able to climb it. If I can identify one, it's a bit of a tricky game to get that exactly right. There's a green on the end, which incorporates like a really interesting volume, which really changes the shape of the wall from being kind of like not quite 40 degree to, well, I wouldn't like to guess, steeper. So I'm gonna take a stock of what holds I've got available to me, see if I've got anything like hidden around here that I might want to use later on, which I don't, unfortunately. Around here I do. I have 2 holds, so that is good to know. And then it seems to be just kind of like a bit of a fridge hug to the top. Wow, it'll be flexy. Ooh. Super interesting boulder. Glad I warmed up my toe hooks. Climb quite differently to how I read it, which is a bit of a lesson in route reading. Specifically, there's a toe hook around one of the arêtes, which it's a hold that you use for your hand and then your toe at the same time. So I need to remember to leave space for my toe where my hand is, because I basically used like the whole of the hold like this and then had no space for my toe, so I ended up putting my toe on my fingers and then having to do a kind of like tablecloth trick on my hands. So I think I could climb it smoother next time, which might leave a little bit more energy for going into like that bump. Wow. Yes, please. That was physical. Okay, so this is where, I said I was going to take stock of what I had around here so that I could use it. I should have done that a bit better. I think what was really interesting about that is that there was 2 quite distinct styles of climbing going on. I know we're going for overhang today, but the top of that was kind of like a lot more like vertical, almost like slab climbing, a lot of like pushing and getting your feet high and like balancy moves around the prow, I guess you'd call it, of the volume. I find a lot of times with overhang, they change your perspective a lot, like as you're climbing. You read them from the ground straight on in quite like a 2D way, at least I do. And then you get on the wall and all of a sudden you're kind of like in 3D space, like one arm is back here, one heel's like back here, your toes up here by your hand. and it's really easy to like lose track of where you are. So I guess for me, what that tells me is that I need to be better at thinking in 3D space from the outset. But I got to the top, and I think we need to bump the difficulty a little. That was hard, but I got it on my second go, so I need to find something that I can really work. So I think to do that we need to head to like this steep. Next boulder I picked out is this orange blue pearl climb here behind me. I can identify a couple of holds which I think are set for toes to try and keep you like into the wall without cutting loose. Oh, that was a terrible idea. Oh, I almost got like a little paddle in. That would be cool, wouldn't it? I don't think that's the intended way. Try the top. Oh, that's awful. I'm gonna go up the other way. Oh man. Whew. Okay. It goes. A few things, that attempt. First is when you get up to like the volume, there's two holds on either side. One of them is a lot better than the other, so that attempt I went to the right one. It wasn't too good, didn't feel comfortable enough to go to the next, so I'm going to try and remember to go left and then right. And then the top I think I could do again. It's just whether or not I've got the energy from having done it from the start through the crux all the way to the top, but I think I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think I can put this together, which will be really good progress. .60 on the comp wall for me is like an achievement. I don't often perform my best at this steep angle, so that's good. I think heading into a session with a really clear idea in mind of like the style of climbing that I would be doing during that session and the techniques that I would need to be using, and being really mindful of that is really helpful. We're leveling up to a pentagon, which is like 7A plus, V6 to V7 at volume 1, and they're hard. Like when this was our local, it would be like a good day when I climbed a pentagon. I think I must have climbed maybe like 5 of them in like the whole time we lived down here, if that. So we're going to give this one a go on the steep. Very crimpy. I'd really do like a crimp, but not a crimp on an overhang. generally a crimp on a vert, I'm like, really love. Crimps on overhangs is like a whole different thing. I think because generally crimps are like small holds, you need to be precise. If you're cutting loose on crimps, that's like a very different story to precisely and using them statically, like, yeah, opposite of dynamic. So I'm gonna give this one a go. So I'm gonna try my classic, like, get on from the crooks into the nice crimps, and then see like how much of it I can put together from the crimps. It seems, reading it from the ground, it looks like it's a very similar move, like the whole way up. So it's just like power endurance, maybe? I think they call it. I think I understand that it's leaving space as like going through the whole of that slopey crimp, and I need to like be able to match into it, I think. Maybe I can use this volume as well for feet. I wasn't really paying any attention to it. I was like can't talk, laser focused on the reds. So the hair's gone up. Yeah, so with this one, I've like tried the middle bit. I have no idea whether or not that's the crux. The start into the first crimp looks like it could be the crux. So I reckon I'm gonna try the start, see how that goes, and then kind of like move from there. I do think I can find a way to get to that left, like long crimp. Quietly, I'm hopeful. I'm also a little bit nervous.
If you link the start to the same point you've got to, I think that'd be a big goal.
Yeah, so yeah, like if I can link the start to the bit that the move I was going for, that'd be good. Be great. So, start. I'm not too sure how to go about it, to be honest. So Nathan's just helpfully informed me that the start is actually here. You don't have to use this for the hand, which I think changes things. I don't know if it makes it possible, but it definitely makes it easier. So I'm gonna give the proper way a go. I'm gonna give a little bit of time to the middle, or like my second crux after the start, the second move basically, from the two kind of like slopey crimps out to the rail, because I haven't figured that out yet, and I haven't figured a foot position that works or feels comfortable. Hill was a bad idea. I think like it's a really good project level because I think each move individually feels doable, but putting all of the different sequences together I think would be like a real test of my endurance. So now that I've done like a few overlapping parts of the problem, the last piece of the puzzle for me is the top. So I'm gonna climb up halfway and see if I can get the top done. Then I know that I've done every single individual move. So I'm gonna start red pointing, having some like burns from the start. Oh. Wow.
This is on the right.
Yeah. If all else fails. Bah. Woo! Whoa. Suddenly gets really steep. But a really good workable project, I think. Like sometimes you pull on to 7A pluses, especially on steep. And I'm like, I just can't in a million years imagine ever being able to piece this all together. Whereas this I can, which is exciting. I think, should we just start having rub point attempts? I mean, I've not done the top, but to see how far. I think at this point, I'm like, it would be amazing to be able to put the whole thing together, but I think I'd need a hell of a lot of luck on my side, and I think I'd miraculously need to get quite a bit stronger in the next 5 minutes to be able to do that. Whereas I think I could have some real good burns from the start and just see like how far I can get up the route, see if I can beat my previous high point, make it like the biggest link I can.
Hold up. Always been the one to make a left, not go right. I think you awesome. Go ahead. You already know. Already. Sing ooh. With a matinee and a late night show.
Thank you. That was a really good link. I'm really pleased with that. I messed up on the crimp on the volume by putting my whole hand in the good bit. Brought my other one into match, stacked my fingers, and then was like, took loads of energy, but that was the biggest link I made. That went really well. Yeah, really psyched on that. Whew. The move from the first crimp, holding the tension to then bring the hand in and under, is really difficult on like a slopey foot. I find really difficult. It's probably not the most difficult move on the route, but that to start for me is like, okay, like you're trying 100% from the start. Maybe I should have worked that middle bit more. But then, yeah, that was just a little bit of a fluff with my hands, like I just stacked my fingers and that was a bit silly. I should have remembered that I needed to leave enough room on the hold for my other hand, which is a good top tip for any climbing. I find I do that so often. I'm like, oh, hold, use the best of it, and forget that actually I might need to match into it, which obviously gets more difficult on like tiny crimps. So have a big rest. Give that like my final attempt.
Right here, who knows? If you kill that ride and prepare for them blows, I be on my own thing, man. Troubadour here, cooking up the cooker, charging for a mix shit. You ain't even listen.
It just feels so shouldery and so crimpy, and like by that point I've done like a few moves that are really hard for me. So I think I'm going to call it there. Save my fingers before something pops. But that was a really good session, and I hope you enjoyed following along. I'm now going to have a bit of a cool down. If you'd like to check out our t-shirts, we now have Hannah Morris Bouldering t-shirts, so you can check those out on the website, or I'll leave it in the card here, and I'll see you in my next video.